It is day 8, Tuesday the 25th of May 2010, and we are standing outside the Cotton Exchange building actually, just off Main Street, and we're going to be doing a tour of the Cotton Museum. We're assuming this is going to be a history of the cotton industry, we'll call it that, in the Mid-South, and it should be interesting. So this is day 8 and we've done almost everything else, so we'll get and take the tour. Well, we've just had an induction for the cotton tour. Basically, the lady explained that Memphis was the traditional heart of the cotton industry in the United States from the middle of the 17th century, basically, when the slave trade was ongoing here, of course, and remained in that position until really well into the 20th century. USA is still about third or fourth cotton grower in the world, behind China, Japan and India, but still a very active industry in the southern half of the United States, from the Atlantic all the way across to the Pacific. So we've got 9 stops on the tour. We start in here, we end up in the trading room next door, and we've got some outside visits to make as well, so I'm sure it's going to be very interesting. We're just about halfway through the tour of the Cotton Museum, well, most of us outside, down towards the riverside, standing at the end of Union Avenue and Riverside Drive, and this was the real heartbeat of the growth and ongoing cotton industry in Memphis. Memphis became the world's centre spot for cotton trading for over 100 years, and we learned a lot. It's not quite as simple as my first lot of comments. This is where the boats arrived to and left from, delivering and taking the cotton away. On the street we just walked down from, which is called Front Street, it was called Cotton Row, and it was basically end-to-end cotton. One of the key functions carried out was called classifying the cotton, where they basically, as you can imagine, just graded the cotton by human eye, by light, until 1950s or 60s, when some device was introduced to do that. And it was really the heartbeat of Memphis, the cotton industry. So it's been interesting to learn that aspect of it. And we're going to move on now to the second half of the tour. While Marion's having a wee break for a cigarette, I'll mention about the Mississippi River here at Memphis. Apparently the Battle of Memphis, which was one of the big battles in the Civil War, was actually in fact a river battle between the Union and the Confederates, which the Unions demolished the Confederates basically. And after the Battle of Memphis, on the river right here, Ulysses S. Grant set up his southern headquarters in Memphis, and grew to like Memphis so much, in a sense, that conventionally Memphis would have been destroyed by Union forces, but Ulysses S. Grant made sure that it was preserved, and in a sense everything that happened from that point in time in the 1860s can be, for Memphis, can be put down to Ulysses S. Grant after the Battle of Memphis on the Mississippi River right here. So an interesting point of history for us. We've just made 3 stops on the street we're looking at just now. Is called Front Street, which is one street back from Main Street down towards the river. This is where all the cotton trading took place. I say the street was nicknamed Cotton Row. And what we've heard is a description of how cotton was traded in 1939. That was the simulations they played for us. And frankly, it's like the furious trading floor of the modern stock exchange. Bids and offers, and the traders buying and selling bales of cotton basically between cotton farmers and textile manufacturers. And as I say, in principle it sounds very similar to the computerized microsecond systems of today, as we saw in the film Rogue Trader, but in terms of the principle, very, very similar. And frankly, an insight again, and very interesting. Coming through strong and clear that Memphis was the cotton capital of the world until the recent times when the Japanese and the Chinese and Indians began to take over. But very, very interesting stuff. We've just completed our tour of the Cotton Museum, or Cotton Trail almost, we'd call it. And we're in what was the facsimile of the old trading room in the Cotton Exchange. And just as I was saying outside, I mean, it's basically very, very similar in principle to a very fast trading bids and offers between traders and the modern stock exchanges all over the world. Here we can see the futures board as it was. Again, we're going back to the 1939 era, and we can see Memphis, Liverpool, New York. I mean, the prices were ticker taped in from all over the world and posted up there, and the bidding went on, bids and offers and so on and so forth. It all kind of fell away in the 1670s with computerisation. No need for people to be on the trading floor to do deals, but Memphis continues to be the largest spot cotton market in the world. It plays a significant role in the world economy. It's all, say, computerised now, electronics, but this gives a really good idea of what it was like and where the modern version of the Cotton Exchange came from. Very interesting. And this is particularly interesting because basically what it tells us is that, I mean, by 1850 America was growing 3/4 of the world's supply of cotton, but it was totally dependent on enslaved Africans to work the cotton fields, and you know, by 1860 some 4 million enslaved African Americans lived throughout the South working in the cotton fields. So this is where the roots of the Civil War actually happened, and this little display here is particularly interesting. I mean, this here is a bill of sale for a slave, this document here. This is called Manila's Money of the Slave Trade. I'm not sure, I'm going to try and read it. Slave trade was based on barter rather than cash. European traders bought slaves from African chiefs by trading goods such as guns, cloth, rum, jewelry and Manilas. Manilas were widely used in money in the slave trade. They were fashioned after bracelets and leg bands traded in currency among the peoples of Central Africa. That's interesting. Here we have a lock for a slave chain. There's a chance of escaping there. Here we have manacles to manacle the slaves. And this gives a, you know, very, very what would you say, colourful record of what the slave business was all about. So particularly interesting, and of course we refer back to 1860. There are 4 million enslaved African Americans throughout the South of America, and the Civil War started in 1861. So this is where it all really came from, the cotton industry based in Memphis at that time.